So you're building a SaaS application, right? And chances are you're using Amazon S3. But, there's a world of difference between just dumping files into a bucket and actually architecting a storage layer that's going to scale, that's cost-effective, and that is truly ready for production. That's what we're going to do today. We're building that blueprint. Think about it this way. As your app gets more popular and your data piles up, that success can actually create this huge hidden problem. If you don't have a plan, your S3 costs can just spiral out of control. Things can start getting slow. And honestly, you could be one clumsy mistake away from a major disaster. That growth, it's not just a success metric. It could be a ticking time bomb. And that's exactly what we're here to do. The whole point of this is to give you a clear, actionable strategy to get ahead of all that complexity and build an S3 foundation that's going to support your app for years and years to come. And it all starts right here with structure. This is, and I'm not exaggerating, probably the single most important decision you'll make early on. Getting your naming and your folder layout right from the very beginning will save you from so many massive headaches down the road. Okay, check this out. It's a tale of two buckets. On the one hand, you've got bucket prod 123. What does that even tell you? Almost nothing. Now, compare that to the second one. Just by reading the name, you know the company, what kind of data is inside, the environment it's for, and even the geographic region. That kind of clarity is absolutely crucial when you start juggling dozens or even hundreds of buckets. Think of your bucket like a digital filing cabinet. I mean, you wouldn't just throw all your company's documents into one giant drawer, right? Of course not. By structuring your folders logically, say by data type, then by the tenant or user, then maybe by date, you make it incredibly easy to manage permissions and to find what you need. And this isn't just about being neat. It isolates your customer data, which is critical for security, and it can dramatically speed up how fast you can retrieve that data. It's a win-win. All right, let's move on to the next big piece of the puzzle, managing your costs. The secret here is to understand that not all data is created equal. Some of it needs to be available in a split second, but a lot of it, well, it's rarely ever touched. S3 gives you the tools to pay only for the level of access you actually need. And the magic tool for this is something called a lifecycle policy. It's basically an automated rulebook that you set up. It tells AWS, hey, when this data gets older and nobody's looking at it, move it somewhere cheaper. It is the ultimate set it and forget it for cost optimization. And this is just a brilliant example of how it works. So a customer gets an invoice. For the first few months, you might need to access it all the time, so it lives in S3 standard. But after, say, 90 days, it's probably not needed as often. So your lifecycle policy automatically kicks in and moves it to infrequent access, which costs less. Then after a year, it's really just for your records, right? So it moves again, this time to Glacier, a much, much cheaper place for long-term storage. And all of this happens without you having to lift a finger. Okay, so we've got our structure sorted and our costs under control. Now let's talk about bulletproofing your data. Because in a real production environment, you have to plan for compliance, for disaster recovery, and for those inevitable oops moments. Multi-region replication is your first line of defense here. What it does is create an exact live copy of your data in a completely separate AWS region. So if there's ever a massive outage in one part of the world, your application can just fail over to the other region and keep on running. This is also a huge deal for compliance rules that require your data to exist in multiple geographic locations. And here it is, your ultimate safety net, S3 object versioning. Just think of it as the giant undo button for your entire storage system. If someone on your team accidentally deletes a critical file or overwrites it with garbage data, no problem. You can just roll back to a previous version in seconds. So we have covered a ton of ground. Let's try to distill all of this down into 5 simple, memorable rules. Think of this as your new checklist for every single production S3 bucket you create from this day forward. Rule 1, name your buckets logically. A good descriptive name is your first piece of documentation. It gives instant context to anyone on your team. Rule 2, structure those folders for scale. A smart hierarchy keeps data isolated and makes permissions a breeze, whether you have 10 customers or 10 million. Rule 3, automate your costs with lifecycle policies. Seriously, never pay top dollar for data that's collecting dust. Let AWS handle the savings for you automatically. Rule 4, replicate for resilience. This is your business's insurance policy. It protects you from disasters and helps you check those important compliance boxes. And finally, rule number 5, version everything. Human error is gonna happen. It's just a fact. Versioning is your non-negotiable safety net against losing data by accident. So, if you follow these rules, you can build a really robust S3 architecture that works for your SaaS app today. But the real challenge is to keep thinking ahead. Data patterns change, you're going to build new features, compliance rules will evolve. So the final question isn't just about getting it right now. It's about building a system that can adapt and grow for whatever comes tomorrow.